Hello guys, hope all of you are well. So guys, this video is the first video for SAT Math, and in this video we're going to be starting with the domain that is heart of algebra. And first of all, I'd like to define this domain and the weightage of this domain in your SAT exam. So guys, this domain particularly has around 5 topics, and I'm going to list all of them down one by one. So the first topic is linear equations with one variable, right? And then the second topic that is there in this one is going to be linear equations involving two variables, right? And then in the third topic that is there, the subtopic that is there is basically linear functions. Then there is system of two linear equations involving two variables, basically simultaneous equations. And there is going to be linear inequalities involving one or two variables, right? Involving one and two variables. So guys, this is the list of subtopics that are there in the domain of heart of algebra, and particularly there is going to be a video for each subtopic and a separate worksheet that you guys will have to attempt in order to prepare for the topic of heart of algebra, right? So guys, let's move on and let's start our today's lecture, which is about linear equations with one variable, right? Alright guys, so without any delay, let's start with today's topic, and that is linear equations with one variable. अच्छा जी, अब देखो यार, before getting on to the next thing, I want to address something over here कि यार इस topic में there is not much that is going to be new for all of you. ठीक है? So I'll just be revising everything that is there that you need to know before, like for SAT math in this video. And then there is one important thing, and which is like the major concept of this topic, and that I'll be covering by the end of this video. So those of you who think that कि हमें ये सब चीजें आती हैं, you guys can either play it like at 1.5x or like the speed that you guys like are comfortable with. Warna agar if anyone of you like who is willing to watch this video, then they're most welcome, but I'll just be going through all the things that are very basic. देखो जी, the first thing that I need to address over here is arithmetic. सही है? So arithmetic में basically the first thing that we need to look at is numbers, right? तो basically जिस type के numbers हमारे पास SAT math में syllabus में होते हैं, those are what? Those are integers. सबसे पहली चीज होती है like we have integers are what? Integers are like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and all the numbers like greater than 0 are going to be called like positive integers, and then all the numbers lesser than 0 are going to be called negative integers. तो दो टाइप के integers होते हैं, positive integers हो सकते हैं, there can be negative integers. Then the second type of numbers that are there are decimals. तो यार देखो डेसिमल्स क्या होते हैं? नंबर्स विच हैव पॉइंट क्या होता है? जो डॉट होता है. नंबर्स विच हैव अ पॉइंट एट द स्टार्ट और इन बिटवीन, नॉट एट द एंड. एंड में तो सबके ही होता है, और इन बिटवीन आर कॉल्ड डेसिमल्स. ठीक है जी. देन देयर इज व्हाट? देन देयर आर फ्रैक्शंस. ठीक है जी. अब फ्रैक्शंस में क्या चीज होती है? देखो जी, फ्रैक्शन में ना आपके पास बेटा आपको ये चीज पता होनी चाहिए कि फ्रैक्शंस कितनी टाइप के होते हैं. ऑल ऑफ अस नो व्हाट फ्रैक्शंस आर. सही है? फ्रैक्शंस आर नंबर्स व्हिच आर रिटन इन द फॉर्म ऑफ न्यूमरेटर अपॉन डिनोमिनेटर, राइट? तो देखो जी, there are two types of fractions. One is like improper fraction and the other one is proper fraction. अब improper और proper fraction में क्या different होता है, ये चीज देख लेते हैं. देखो जी, proper fraction जो होता है ना, उसका जो numerator होता है, that is always going to be lesser than the denominator. And for improper fraction, the numerator is always going to be greater than the denominator. Again, very basic. So I'm just skipping the part where we are going to be looking at arithmetic involving इंटीजर्स. मैं ये वाला पार्ट स्किप कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है जी, बिकॉज दैट इज अगेन वेरी बेसिक. अरिथमेटिक क्या चीज होती है? अरिथमेटिक इज बेसिकली ऐड, सब्ट्रैक्ट, मल्टीप्लाई and divide, right? So I'm just skipping this part and I am directly moving on to the part where we are going to be looking at arithmetic involving decimals. ठीक है जी. तो देखो बेटा, अगर आपके पास फॉर इंस्टेंट डेसिमल्स की बात आती है तो आपने सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक बात ये समझनी होती है कि देखो अरिथमेटिक, इसके लिए भी यही चार चीजें होंगी: ऐड, सब्ट्रैक्ट, मल्टीप्लाई एंड डिवाइड, राइट? सो लेट्स स्टार्ट बाय एडिशन एंड सब्ट्रैक्शन ऑफ डेसिमल्स. एडिशन एंड सब्ट्रैक्शन ऑफ डेसिमल्स, दिस इज द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी आर गोइंग टू बी लुकिंग एट ऑफ डेसिमल्स. ठीक है जी. अब देखो जी, एडिशन एंड सब्ट्रैक्शन ऑफ डेसिमल्स में क्या चीज होती है बेटा? देखो, अगर लेट्स सपोज मेरे पास एक नंबर है विच सेज दैट कि 2.378 एंड आई नीड टू ऐड इट टू 41.28. ठीक है जी. सो व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट रूल दैट वी नीड टू लुक एट? देखो, जब भी मैं एडिशन या सब्ट्रैक्शन कर रहा होता हूँ ना डेसिमल की, तो रूल इज टू अलाइन द डेसिमल्स. अलाइन द डेसिमल्स. सो व्हाट डज दैट मीन इज कि आपने अपने डेसिमल को, एक डेसिमल को दूसरे डेसिमल के बिल्कुल एग्जैक्टली अलाइन करना है. तो लेट्स राइट द बिगर नंबर फर्स्ट टू 41.28. अब डेसिमल कहां पर है? डेसिमल है 1 के बाद यहां पे. ओके जी. decimal is over here. That means the decimal of this number should come exactly under this decimal. So that means it is going to be what? 2.378. इस तरह से आ गया, कोई बात नहीं जी. This is going to be a 0 if nothing is there, so this is going to be 8. Then this is going to be 7 and 8 add and become 15, right? And then this 2 and 3 add and become 5, and this is going to be 6, and this is going to be 3, and this is going to be 4, right? So guys, that's it. That is how we're going to add a decimal. If there are two decimals, let's look at an example of subtracting a decimal. Let's suppose if I am given with 7.65 and let's suppose I have to subtract 3.3 from it. So what am I going to do is, okay, let's make it 8. So like, what am I going to do? Again, the rule is going to be the same, that is align the decimals. That means one decimal should come exactly under the other one. So it is going to start looking like this. Let's add a 0 over here and this we are subtracting. So 5 and taken, like 0 taken from 5 gives you 5, and we cannot take 8 from 6, so we are going to borrow, and it is going to be 6, it is going to be 8, and then 8 again, so this is going to be 3.85. So guys, that is how we are going to just subtract the decimals, right? The third thing that we need to look at when we talk about arithmetic in decimals is multiplying decimals. So for multiplying decimals, what we need to see is that let's start with an example straight up. Let's suppose if I am given with that 5.38 is to be multiplied with 2.4, right? So in this, first of all, we don't need to worry about the decimals. What we need to do is we just need to multiply the numbers as if there are no decimals, right? So 4 multiplied by 8 gives you what? 32. And 4 multiplied by 3 gives you 12, and this is going to be 15. 4 multiplied by 5 gives you 20, and this is going to be 21. And then 2 multiplied by 8 gives you 16. 2 multiplied by 3 gives you 6, but this is going to be 7. And then 2 multiplied by 5 gives you 10, and then it is going to be just 10, right? So now this is going to be 2, this is 4, and 5 and 6 will be 11. And then 7 and 1 is 8, so we're going to write down 9. and this is going to be 2, and then this is going to be 1. So now we need to look out for decimals as well. So this is going to be this number, the first number has 2 decimal places and the second one has 3 decimal places. That means the total decimal places that are involved are 3 decimal places. Now what we need to do is we need to start counting decimal places from the left, and we stop where we complete the decimal places that are involved in the question. So that means my final answer is going to be 12.912. That's it. Now let's look at the last thing in arithmetic for decimals, that is dividing decimals. So guys, eventually decimals को divide नहीं करना होता. There is one thing that is, there is a technique to basically divide the decimals. अब आपके पास let's suppose अगर 0.45 divided by 0.9 है. So what we are going to do is we are going to split it up. How? We're going to write it as 0.45 divided by 0.9, right? And then now to convert this decimal into a fraction, we are going to write it as 45 upon 100 divided by 9 upon 10, right? Then to finish this division sign and make it multiplication, what we are going to do is we are going to reciprocate the fraction on the right. And now this is going to be 9 ones are 9, 9 fives are 45, and then 0, 0 cancels out, and this is going to be 5 upon 10, which means it is 0.5. So that is how you're going to divide decimals, by converting them into fractions first, by splitting them up first, and then converting it into the fractions, and then just simplifying the fractions and finding out the answer. Is that clear? So guys, let's look arithmetic for fractions now. And in this topic, again, there are going to be 4 things that are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So let's start with addition of fractions, basically addition and subtraction for fractions. अच्छा जी, so let's suppose यार मेरे पास एक question है, उसने मुझे बोला है कि we need to add 3 upon 4 with 7 upon 8, right? Okay, let's make it 4 and let's make it 5. Okay, so this is a fraction that has been given to me and I need to add them. So basically the rule is make the denominator same, right? All of us know this probably. Denominators same. So to make the denominator same, what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply 4 with 5 and 5 with 4. So I'll have to multiply the numerators as well. And this is going to start looking like 15 plus 28 upon 20, which means it is going to be 43 upon 20. And to write it, since it's an improper fraction, I can also write it as a mixed fraction, which means it is going to be 2 whole 3 over 20. Now let's move on and let's look at the second thing, which is basically multiplication of fractions. अब multiplication of fractions में multiplying fractions, right? So basically what we need to look at is, let's suppose if a fraction is given to me that 45 upon 81 multiplied by 27 upon 9. Alright, so basically this is a fraction that is given to me and now I need to multiply these two fractions. So guys, before multiplying fractions, I just need to tell you that fractions can only multiply when, let's suppose this is a general form of fractions. So when we can multiply fractions in this direction, right? We can multiply them in this direction, that it is going to be A multiplied by C and B multiplied by D. Otherwise, we can simplify them diagonally, we can simplify them vertically, but we can only multiply them horizontally. So guys, before multiplying them, let's just simplify these fractions because I can easily see that they can be simplified. So 9 ones are 9, 9 fives are 45, 27 ones are 27, 27 threes are 81, and the final answer is going to be 5 over 3. So that's how we multiply fractions. When it comes to dividing the fractions, let's look at that as well. So dividing fractions is again all about changing the sign of divisions. We cannot actually dividing fractions. Let's look at an example. and then we are going to be solving it. Let's suppose this is an example that is given to us, and in this example the first thing that we need to do when we are dividing fractions is to convert this division sign into multiplication, and we are going to do so by reciprocating the fraction on the right of the division sign. So now this is what it is going to look like. So 3 ones are, now we can just simplify it because we just learned that how do we multiply fractions. 5, and then this is going to be 1 and this is going to be 2. So my final answer is going to be 5 over 2, which means 2 wholes 1 upon 2. So guys, that's it with arithmetic. Now we are going to be moving on to algebra, and again this is going to be a revision for most of you. And the first thing that we need to look in algebra is like combining the like terms. अच्छा जी, अब देखो यार, let's look at an example of this. So guys, this is an example that is in front of me, and now I have to just simplify it. And just in order to simplify this example, what we are going to do, first of all, we are going to multiply this 2 with each term inside the bracket, and it will start looking like 4a square minus 6a square b square and minus 8b square. Then it is going to be minus a square minus 5a square b square, and this is going to be plus 10b square. Now what we are going to do is we are going to bring all the like terms together so that they can interact with each other. Like by like terms, I mean to say that terms with the same variable. So that is how it will start looking like, and then we are going to just interact them. So our final answer is going to look something like that: 3a square minus 11a square b square and plus 2b square. So guys, there are a few getaways that we need to take from this example. The first thing that we need to see about algebra is that whenever same signs between two terms, so what do? We add. All right. Whenever there are different signs between two terms, what do? We subtract. Then the last thing that we need to take away from this is sign of the bigger term ends in the answer. ठीक है जी? Alright, so this was all from combining like terms. Now we move on to expansion and factorization. Guys, when we talk about factorizing and expanding, so there are two things that we need to look into. The first thing that we need to see is expansion. Expansion is a form. In this form, terms are either adding or subtracting with each other. What I mean to say is that each term is going to add or subtract whenever they are going to be in the expanded form. But when we say that we are in factorized form, so there can be numerous forms that our expression or equation can look like. So the first form that is there in this form, equations can look like. So the first thing that they can look like is either two brackets being multiplied. Let's suppose this is x plus y, this is a plus b. This is how an expanded form would look like. Let's suppose one number outside a bracket is being multiplied. Let's suppose a bracket with a whole square is also a factorized form. A bracket with a whole square and a negative sign can be a factorized form. And two brackets with same elements but different signs can be also be in factorized form. So guys, today we are going to be learning how do we convert an expanded form to the factorized form and expand to from factorized form to the expanded form. Basically, we can either be in expanded form or we can be in factorized form. Both of the forms cannot be together at the same time. Either we are in this form or we are in this form, right? These are factorized form. तो मुझे इसमें से किसी एक फॉर्म में अपने आंसर को लेकर आना होता है. ठीक है जी. तो यार पहले देख लेते हैं कि फैक्टराइजेशन एक्सपेंशन कैसे होती है ना. सो लेट्स लुक एट एक्सपेंशन फर्स्ट. लेट्स सपोज अगर मेरे पास पहला वाला केस था कि टू ब्रैकेट्स आर बीइंग मल्टीप्लाइड. लेट्स सपोज आई place 1 plus a plus b and c plus d in two brackets, and now both of the brackets are being multiplied. So first of all, we are going to multiply each element of the bracket of, let's suppose, this bracket with this bracket. So firstly, I multiplied a with c also and d also. So it is going to be ac plus ad. Then we are going to multiply b with c and b with d. So it is gonna look like bc plus bd. So now in this form, the terms are adding to each other. That means it's an expanded form. Let's look at the second example which is there. Let's suppose I have to multiply a into a bracket of b plus c. So firstly, what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply with this a with b and this a with c. So it is going to look like ab plus ac. Again, two brackets are going to be, again the two terms are adding to each other. That means it's an expanded form. Let's move on and let's talk about the third type of expansion. Let's suppose I have something like this, a bracket with a whole square and a plus sign in between. This plus sign is really important because this expansion is also known as an algebraic identity. So whenever such a thing is given to me कि एक bracket हो और उसमें whole square लगा हो, so how am I going to expand it? I'm just going to expand it as a square plus 2ab plus b square. That's all. Then if something similar to the previous form is given but with a negative sign, that means a minus b whole square given ho. So what am I going to do is I'm going to expand it as a square minus 2ab, because bracket whole square bracket के बीच में दो टर्म्स में माइनस था, and plus b square. Let's suppose अगर मेरे पास इस तरह की कोई चीज हो कि a minus b a plus b, that means same terms but with a different sign. So this is going to be expanded as a square minus b square. So guys, these three things are also known as famous algebraic identities. This is also known as algebraic identities, yet they are also used to convert a factorized form into an expanded form. Discussed in this slide. So identity, because it used to be what? That a minus b, a plus b into, like this is factorized, and when it used to be expanded, it used to look like that, a square minus b square. Alright, now we'll be looking at factorization, right? And in this part, we are going to be learning that how we move from an expanded form, जहाँ पे मेरे पास elements add subtract हो रहे हो, to a factorized form. Factorized form, again, those 5 forms that we. Let's start. अगर देखो आपके पास दो terms हो, सही है? So factorizing two terms. Factorizing two terms. Let's suppose if there are just two terms given to me, so there can be following things that can be done. Either we can take common or we can use third identity. ठीक है जी. अब मैं इसकी कुछ एग्जांपल्स आपसे डिस्कस करता हूँ and then it is going to be clear to all of you that what did I mean when I wrote these two things. देखो यार, let's suppose I have been given with this example 4x minus 10. So what do I need to do? I just need to factorize it. Again, there are two things that can be done. Either I can take common or use the third identity whenever two terms are given. So I don't think there can be the identity that can be applied to it. So what I can do is I can simply take common and I'll be left with this. Now this is in expanded form, factorized form. All right, let's look at one more example. Let's suppose I have been given with 7x square minus 63. So guys, the first thing that I can do in this is I can take common. When I take common, I'm left with this, right? Now, when you look at this bracket and like the terms inside the bracket, they can be further factorized. How? Can I write it as x square minus 3 square? And now, can I use the third algebraic? So can I apply that identity over here also, and it will start looking like into x minus 3 and x plus 3. So now this is the most simplified factorized form that can be there of this expanded form, right? So guys, let's move on to the next thing in factorization, that is factorizing three terms. So guys, whenever there are three terms and we need to factorize them, we just need to look at one thing, that is the quadratic. The three terms are supposed to be in the form of a quadratic equation. What do we mean when we say quadratic equation? That the three terms are in this form, ax square plus bx plus c. So to factorize such an equation, what we are going to be doing is we are going to be using middle term breaking. ठीक है जी. So guys, let's suppose I am given with an example that x square plus 7x plus 12. Now, again, there are three terms in this expanded form and they are in this form that such that the highest power of the variable is equal to 2, right? So to solve such an expanded form, what am I going to do is I'm going to multiply the coefficient of x square with the constant at the end, and it is going to be 12x square, and then the number at the in between is 7x. So now I need a pair of two numbers that multiply and become 12x square and that add or subtract and become 7x. So basically what am I going to do is I'm going to start making factors of 12 because I need to multiply those two numbers and make it 12. So I'm going to start with 1 12s are, 2 6s are, and then 4 3s are. So I think 4 and 3 becomes 7 when they add, and when I multiply 4 and 3 it also becomes 12. So that means I have to add 4x and 3x, and it will be 7x, and 4x multiplied by 3x is going to be 12x square. So now what am I going to do is I'm going to replace this 7x with 4x and 3x, and now I'm going to do what? I'm going to treat them as pairs of two terms and I'm going to take common between them. So this is how it is going to end up looking. And now my final answer is going to be x plus 4 and x plus 3. So guys, let's jump on to one more example of this because I feel this is not going to be enough. So let's suppose I'm given with x square minus 2x minus 24, and now I need to factorize it. Again, this is in the form of a quadratic equation, and to factorize it I'm going to be using middle term breaking, which is that multiply the coefficient of x square with the constant. That means it is 24x square minus 24x square, and in the center it is minus 2x. That means I need such a pair which multiply and becomes 24x minus 24x and add or subtract and becomes minus 2x. So whatever we need to make by multiplying, we are going to be looking at the factors of that term. So it is going to be 1 multiplied by 24, 2 multiplied by 12, 3 multiplied by 8, and then 4 multiplied by 6, right? So now I can look at 4 times 6, and that is going to be 24, and when I subtract minus 6x from 4x, it is going to give me minus 2x. So that means my plus 4x and minus 6x is going to give me minus 2x, and 4x multiplied by minus 6x is going to give me minus 24x squared. That means I'm going to do what? I'm going to replace minus 2x with the combination of two terms that I just got and factorize it by taking common. Alright, so this is all what am I going to do when I'll have to factorize three terms. So guys, this is it about the factorization and expansion that is there in our syllabus. Now we'll be looking at one more thing, which is the difference between expressions and equations. So guys, expressions are basically something which doesn't have an equal to sign. Expressions are such that कि इसमें equal to sign is not there. और भाई equations में what is it going to be? Equations में there is an equal to sign, right? So that is the only difference that is there between an expression and an equation. एक्सप्रेशन जो है ना वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा सिंप्लीफाई हो सकती है और एक्सपैंड हो सकती है. अच्छा जी, जब इक्वेशन की बात आएगी तो इक्वेशन पहले सिंप्लीफाई होती है एंड सॉल्व फॉर द वेरिएबल होती है. अच्छा जी, व्हेन वी लुक ऑन टू सॉल्विंग एन इक्वेशन, व्हाट डू वी नीड टू नो? देखो जी, अगर यहां पे बेटा लेफ्ट हैंड, तो बेसिकली इक्वेशन की देयर आर टू साइड्स, सही है? लेफ्ट हैंड साइड इक्वल टू राइट हैंड साइड. तो देखो जी, अगर यहाँ पे कोई चीज बेटा ऐड होती है तो वो राइट हैंड साइड पे जाके क्या हो जाती है? सब्ट्रैक्ट हो जाती है. अगर कोई चीज यहाँ पे सब्ट्रैक्ट होती है, इट इज गोइंग टू ऐड ऑन द राइट हैंड साइड. इफ समथिंग इज बीइंग मल्टीप्लाइड on this side, it is going to be divided on the other side. अगर कोई चीज यहाँ पे बेटा डिवाइड हो रही होगी तो राइट हैंड साइड पे जाके मल्टीप्लाई हो जाएगी. अच्छा जी, अब when it comes to the signs, so again लेफ्ट हैंड साइड इक्वल टू राइट हैंड साइड. देखो जी, अगर यहाँ पे कोई चीज पॉजिटिव है, so it will be negative on the other side. If something is negative on this side, it will be positive on the other side. So guys, these four things and then two things about the signs is all what we need to remember when we have to solve an equation. ठीक है जी? So guys, let's look at this equation. It asks us what? That it is given that 4x plus 5 is equal to 165 and they're asking for the solution of this equation. So guys, in order to solve this equation, what do they mean? They mean that we need to make x the subject, right? That's what they say when they want us to solve the equation. So that means everything that is there with x, we're going to take it away. So it is going to be 4x plus 5 equals to 165. फिर क्या होगा? 165. Since it is adding, it is going to 5 is going to subtract now, and 4x equals to 160 हो जाएगा, and x is going to be 160 upon 4. So 4 ones are 4, and then this is going to be 40. So x की क्या value आ गई? 40. By solving an equation, they also mean that find a value of x such that the left hand side equal to right hand side हो जाए. That's what they mean. That's what they also mean when they say that we need to solve the equation. कि x की ऐसी वैल्यू ढूंढो कि लेफ्ट हैंड साइड और राइट हैंड साइड becomes equal for this equation. So guys, let's look at this another example from the worksheet. It says that 3 into 2x minus 6 is minus 11 equals to 4 into x minus 3 plus 6. If x is the solution of the equation above, what is the value of x minus 3? So first of all, we need to find out the value of x, right? That means we need to find such value of x that both sides of the equation are equal, right? तो भाई पहले क्या करेंगे? 3 into 2x minus 6 minus 11 equals to 4 into x minus 3 plus 6. ठीक है जी, पहले तो we are going to expand because we need to solve. So in order to expand, this is what we are going to apply. This is going to look like 6x minus 18 minus 11 है, फिर 4x minus 12 plus 6, right? Then it is going to be what? Bring all the like terms together. That means x सारों को एक साथ ले आओ. 4x हो गया minus 12 plus 6 plus 11 plus 18, right? So it is going to be what? 2x equal to 18 or 6 add हुआ 24, 24 minus 12 is going to be 12, and this is going to be 23. Now the answer is going to be 23 upon 2. That's all. But then we need to find out, this is the x value of x. What we need to find out is that we need to figure out what is the value of x minus 3. तो x क्या है बेटा? 23 upon 2 minus 3 करेंगे. So that means we have to take 2 as an LCM. Then this is going to be 23 minus 3, 23 minus 6 over 2, which means it is going to be 17 upon 2. So our answer is going to be B. The solutions to all of these equations, like this equation, let's look at one more example of solving the equation. It says that x over 8 equal to 5. What is the value of 8 over x? So guys, there are two methods to solve this equation. First method is a little longer one. That is that if x over 8 equal to 5 diya hua hai, so let's find out the value of x. It is going to be 40. Now they ask us the value of 8 over x, which means 8 over 40, which is going to be 1 over 5. This is one method to solve this equation. Method 2 is like a little direct and straightforward method, and it is recommended to solve it with this method. भाई इसी से solve करना अगर इस तरह का कोई question है. देखो जी क्या given है, x over 8 equal to 5 given है. Now what you have to do is they are asking for the value of 8 over x. That means वो बोल रहे हैं इसको reciprocate करो. Reciprocate का मतलब क्या होता है? Reciprocate means that अगर 2 over 1 दिया हुआ है, सो रेसिप्रोकेट क्या होगा इसका? 1 over 2 हो जाएगा. तो अगर a over b है तो उसका रेसिप्रोकेट क्या होता है भाई? इट विल बी b over a, right? So that is what the reciprocation is, that numerator comes in denominator and denominator comes in numerator. Numerator denominator में आ जाएगा और denominator आपका numerator में आ जाएगा. So when we have to reciprocate this, it will start looking like 8 over x. But अगर एक साइड रेसिप्रोकेट हो रही है तो दूसरी साइड भी रेसिप्रोकेट होगी, एंड द आंसर इज गोइंग टू बी हियर, राइट? We did this equation. All right guys, so let's look at this equation. This is from one of the SATs that have been there in the past, and when we say that applications are also going to be tested, so this is how the question can sit in the exam. So let's read the question first. It says that a candle is made of 17 ounces of wax. Ounce is again a unit used to represent the weight. When the candle is burning, the amount of wax in the candle decreases by 1 ounce every 4 hours. If 6 ounces of wax remain in this candle, how many hours it has been burning? तो जी देखो, it says that for every 4 hours, like every 4 hours 1 ounce. So that means if there are 17 ounces and 6 are remaining, so that means how many were burned? 11 ounces burned, right? Then basically what we have to do is, we know that 1 ounce burn होता है 4 hours में, 11 ounces are going to be burned in how many hours? So it will be 44 hours, and D is going to be the answer. So all these, so guys, now let's move on to something new with linear equations involving one variable. ठीक है जी? And I'm sure probably none of you have done this concept before, because like all of the previous things that we covered were mostly like, you guys are aware of all those things. तो देखो यार, बेसिकली हमने हमेशा क्या सीखा है कि लीनियर इक्वेशन का हमेशा वन सोल्यूशन इज पॉसिबल, कि मतलब उसका जो सोल्यूशन है वो हमेशा एक ही होता है. एंड लाइक लुकिंग एट द प्रीवियस इक्वेशंस जस्ट हैड लाइक वन सोल्यूशन ईच टू देमसेल्व्स, राइट? लेकिन देखो यार, जरूरी नहीं है कि लीनियर इक्वेशन अगर एक ही वेरिएबल वाली होगी तो उसका एक ही सोल्यूशन होगा. सही है? देयर कैन बी न्यूमरस एग्जांपल्स. अब हाउ आर वी गोइंग टू आइडेंटिफाई कि किस सोल्यूशन का क्या होगा, दैट इज व्हाट दिस कॉन्सेप्ट इज ऑल अबाउट। तो देखो जी, अगर फॉर एग्जांपल कोई लीनियर इक्वेशन है और उसका मेरे पास एक सोल्यूशन है, तो देखो जी वो कैसी नजर आती है। सो लेट्स सी, अगर लेट्स सपोज मेरे पास गिवन है एक लीनियर इक्वेशन x प्लस 3 इज इक्वल टू 2x माइनस 18। तो देखो यार, इफ यू सॉल्व दिस इक्वेशन, x 2x इज गोना कम ऑन दिस साइड एंड माइनस 18 प्लस माइनस 3 हो जाएगा, ठीक है जी। एंड दिस विल स्टार्ट लुकिंग लाइक माइनस x इज इक्वल टू माइनस 21। दैट मीन्स के x इक्वल टू 21 आ गया। तो देखो यार, इसका एक ही सोल्यूशन, ओनली वन सोल्यूशन इज पॉसिबल, ठीक है जी। अब लेट्स लुक एट वन मोर एग्जांपल ऑफ लीनियर इक्वेशन। जी तीन टाइप की लीनियर इक्वेशन हो सकती हैं। एक लीनियर इक्वेशन जो सिंपल बचपन से पढ़ते हुए आ रहे हैं कि जिसमें एक सोल्यूशन पॉसिबल होता है, वो सिंपली इस तरह सॉल्व हो जाती है, x की आखिर में एक वैल्यू आ जाती है। एग्जांपल, लेट्स सपोज आई एम गिवन विद x plus 3 equal to x minus 5. So now to solve this, I'm going to bring x on one side. So now it will start looking something like this. And then I can cancel x and x. So that means there is no x that is left. Now, when there is no x, there are no variables left in the equation. लेकिन मेरे जो constants हैं, क्या वो equal हैं? No, right? That means they are not equal. So in this case, no solutions possible, ठीक है जी। So I'm going to write it again. So variables, no variables is fine. Unequal constants mean that no possible solutions, no possible solutions, all right? Now let's move on to one more example, and this example is, let's suppose I am given with x 2x plus 6 equal to 2 into x plus 3, right? So now what am I going to do is, in order to solve this equation, I am going to write down, I'm going to first expand the right hand side and it will start looking like this. Then I'm going to bring all the variables on one side, and now I see that the variables are cancelling out, but my constants are equal. That means infinite solutions. When constants are equal and no variables, that means infinite solutions. So I'm going to write it again. No variable and equal constants mean that infinite solutions. So guys, let's solve a few examples related to this concept, but let me just go through it again. Then the second type of linear equation is such that कि आपके जो वेरिएबल्स हैं वो तो कैंसिल आउट हो जाएंगे, लेकिन जो कांस्टेंट्स हैं वो भी इक्वल नहीं होंगे। तो उस केस में क्या होगा? पॉसिबल सॉल्यूशंस नहीं होंगे। फिर एक और एग्जांपल है जहां पे वेरिएबल्स आपके कैंसिल आउट हो जाएंगे, लेकिन जो आपके कांस्टेंट्स हैं वो भी इक्वल होंगे। तो उस केस में क्या होगा? उस केस में देयर आर गोइंग टू बी इनफाइनाइट सॉल्यूशंस। लेट्स लुक एट अ फ्यू एग्जांपल्स फ्रॉम द वर्कशीट that we did. The variables used to be same, that's why they used to cancel out, right? तो अब देखो जी, so guys, let's look at this example. In this example it says that in the equation a, like let's suppose an equation is given to us 2x plus 16 equal to a into x plus 8, right? Acha ji, what does the question say? Question says that in the given equation a is a constant. If the equation has infinitely many solutions, what is the value of a? तो यार देखो, infinitely many solutions of what? Of a linear equation. तो यार एक बात आपके जहन में आनी चाहिए, no variables, variables नहीं होंगे, constants are equal, right? ये बस इतनी सी एक हिंट है जो मैं पीछे से आपके साथ लेकर आया हूं, आपको एक्सप्लेन करता हुआ। अब मेरे पास क्या गिवन है? मेरे पास गिवन है 2x plus 16 equals to ax plus 8 हो जाएगा। तो देखो यार, वेरिएबल्स की तो वैसे ही छुट्टी हो जानी है क्योंकि इनफाइनाइटली मेनी सॉल्यूशंस है, और मुझे क्या निकालना है? मुझे a का वैल्यू निकालना है। दैट मींस मेरे जो वेरी कॉन्स्टेंट्स होंगे वो क्या होंगे, इक्वल होंगे। तो क्या 16 इज इक्वल्स टू 8a लिख दिया, विच मीन्स 8a इक्वल्स टू 16 हो गया। a की वैल्यू क्या होगी, 16 अपॉन 8, 8 1 जार 8 2 जार, a इक्वल टू 2 हो गई। इज दैट क्लियर टू ऑल ऑफ यू? दिस इज गोइंग टू बी द सॉल्यूशन फॉर दिस इक्वेशन। Look, all right, guys, let's look at this question. It says that in the given equation, b is a constant. एक equation given है b into 2 into x minus 8, b minus 2 into x minus 8, and this equation has no solution. तो यार देखो, no solution की जहां पर बात आ जाए वहां पे आपको क्या याद आना चाहिए, आपको सिर्फ एक ही बात याद आनी चाहिए कि no variables, comma, constants are not equal। ठीक है जी। तो देखो भाई अब क्या करेंगे, सो नाउ व्हाट एम आई गोइंग टू डू इज वी आर जस्ट गोइंग टू सॉल्व फॉर द वैल्यू ऑफ b। अब देखो जी, मेरे पास क्या गिवन है, b माइनस 2 इंटू एक्स इक्वल टू 8, राइट। अगेन व्हाट वी नीड टू लुक एट इज कि कोई वेरिएबल नहीं होता और कॉन्स्टेंट्स क्या होते हैं, इक्वल होते हैं। तो देखो यार, बेसिकली कोई वेरिएबल क्यों नहीं होता, सो इफ यहाँ पे क्या कोई वेरिएबल है, मतलब इफ देयर इज अ वेरिएबल ऑन दिस साइड, यहाँ पे कोई भी वेरिएबल नहीं है, कैन आई स्टिल से दैट देयर इज अ 0x? That means I am going to make sure that this value of x and this value of x are equal. That is why there is not going to be a variable, क्योंकि वेरिएबल तो कैंसिल हो जाता है नो सॉल्यूशंस में। So that means what am I going to do is I am going to make sure that they're equal, because जब भी equal हुआ जब भी cancel हुआ होगा, so if they're equal I can equate them। So b minus 2 into x equals to 0x। अब x को आप भूल जाओ 2 सेकेंड, and you're going to write it as b minus 2 equal to 0, which means b equal to 2। Is that clear? That's all what we need to find out। So answer is going to be A। So guys, that's it for this video, and there are more problems to like this concept in the worksheet. I want all of you to do those problems and also practice the remaining questions in the worksheet, because all of them are from the SAT past papers that were available, and we gathered them together and made a worksheet. So that's all for today, and see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.